All right. Hi, everyone. I think we're live. But if you've been watching these, you know I always have to double check. We are live. Hi, friends. I think that we might be a little slap happy tonight. Well, at least I will be. But this is Allison with the Gallatin County Democrats. We are live with Representative Kelly Kortum from House District 65 with an update from the Montana Legislature. And today was the last day before transmittal break turns out. You have now officially heard and voted on all the bills, correct? For so far, like for this part?
Yes, this is halftime. We had a really crazy week this last week. So many bills, 3 or 4 times as many bills as we were dealing with in previous weeks. We should really do something about spreading them out, but it's a conversation for another time. But yes, halftime.
Sigh of relief. Does it feel good that you are like at this moment in your first legislative session? You've survived.
Yes. All the new stuff is over. Now we just get to, go over what the Senate's been up to for a while and let the budget people do their little battles. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about making it this far.
Excellent.
It was quite a ride.
You should. It has been a ride. I am just in such admiration and awe for all of our Democratic legislators who have persevered. Everyone who has stayed engaged. It has not been easy. There have been, some terrible bills, but there's been some wins. And I think people watching may want to know what some of those wins were today. So the big win was House Bill 251 was defeated. And for those of you who don't know, 251 was the right to work bill, which really means right to work for less or nothing. And so can you tell us a little bit about how that all went down this morning?
Yeah, it was the first bill we talked about this morning, and it went the full 30 minutes that each bill is allowed up to 30 minutes of discussion before you can call for the end of discussion. And it went the full 30. We had some amazing speeches and we had some horrifying speeches on the other side. And a ton of union people showed up in the Capitol. It looked like a normal day in the legislature before, or, not during a pandemic. It was wild, the energy. So yeah, very exciting. And it went down really hard, and unions still get to be a thing in Montana, and it prevented a ginormous fall backwards. And just that is such a huge relief today. Doesn't matter what else happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a big, I got up, was watching because I wanted to see what actually was said. And I started thinking that we may actually see it defeated. I was really surprised by the margin. I won't lie, that really surprised me. So that was really encouraging and exciting to watch live.
Agreed.
So what were some other, there were quite a few bills that ended up being killed on third reading today, which is, I don't know how usual or unusual that is. But yeah, what else kind of happened today?
I'm not sure how normal it is either, but several bills went down on third reading after they were basically approved during second reading. We voted down a weird bill to have the Public Service Commission regulate Facebook, which can't even work because it's a state agency. And anyway, that was a weird one. There was a really weird one that said we don't have to listen to federal law, and that one died because it's ridiculous. That was nice. There was another one about reporting child abuse that was very close and ended up losing by 1 vote in third reading. And then my bill to allow cities to build broadband networks died on third reading quite dramatically. It went from about 2/3 support to 1/3 support overnight, just an incredible swing. And it was disappointing, but it would have been a nice step forward. But again, like I said earlier, we prevented a huge fallback. So, you know, progress is prevented, but so is regression.
Sure. So I would love for you, like, I have been very interested in in this bill that died today. So House Bill 422, it would expand, or it was an innovative approach to expanding broadband access in Montana. And so I know that there was pushback from current internet providers, not all, but most of them, the names that we know, Spectrum and CenturyLink and et cetera. What do you think happened to flip 32 Republicans to change their vote overnight? Like, what happened? That's dramatic.
So I don't think the telecoms expected, I don't think those lobbyists expected the bill to get out of committee, but in our executive action, a Republican came up with a really good idea to make sure the private sector was still involved in this process. And by doing that, made both sides extremely happy. It passed 16-1 out of committee. So I don't think they were prepared for it to have such popularity on the House floor. We all know how important internet is from the pandemic. It really sucks when your call gets dropped on Zoom or you can't do your banking or whatever. So I think it hit home with a lot of people that had experiences with that. So all those, good vibes come in, and then the money pours in and the phone calls. And I expect there was some meetings on the other side about, the way things have always been done, which in my opinion hasn't been working for 20 years, but that's always an argument on the other side. And we lost a ton of votes and it died.
Well, you'll get him next time. We'll keep working on it. We'll keep it up. Internet is essential. There's no other way to put it. Like, it is essential. And so everyone needs to have access to high speed, broadband internet. So keep up the good fight. Thank you for doing it this session, and we'll try again. Yeah. So there was another bill that you were involved in that ended up passing that's kind of unique. And so could you explain that one and why it was so special?
I would love to. It was another exciting one that ended up being bipartisan in the end. Basically what happened is the Commissioner of Political Practices lost a lawsuit, and a law was ruled unconstitutional. So we had to remove it from code. But that wasn't well received because it was about the naming of political committees. So you could have a political committee called Doctors for Fluffy Puppies. And you could in fact have no doctors in that group and call it that. And this law prevented that, but it was ruled unconstitutional because it's your free speech right to call yourself a doctor, or at least call your group whatever it is. So some Republicans and Democrats had a problem with repealing that law, but we knew we had to do something. So what happened is we got to talking about it in committee, and it turned out we could form a subcommittee to make a new bill that dealt with the problem in a constitutional way. And I'm told that's pretty rare, these committee bills where everybody gets together and the committee just makes a bill and then somebody carries it. In this case, it was Tyson Running Wolf, and the bill number was HB 580. And that, we still had to remove that political naming rule. But what happened is we included some new attributions in the bottom of the ad that says, if you want to know more about this group, check out the Commissioner of Office of Political Practices site here to look up who donates to them. And that really helps the public find out who's really behind these political advertisements. And because it was worked on with, I think, 3 or 4 from each party in this committee, it came out very popular.
Okay. And
it became a bill, I think, in the last week, and we got it out in time, and it passed the House floor today. It passed second and third reading. The real exciting part about it is it's apparently very rare. I think one of the 4-time legislators had said this is the second one they saw make it. So that's just an indication of how exciting it was to be involved in this. And it was heavily freshmen, I believe, working on it as well, which was also kind of cool.
That's awesome. Learning the process and, doing something unique and bipartisan that, hopefully keeps things transparent for, the voter in Montana while still abiding by the court ruling. Win, 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 win.
Very Montanan solution. You just kind of talk through it until you find an agreeable way to do it. I'm very proud of that bill and the people that worked on it with me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That sounds great. So now that the session, the transmittal is happening, and so for those of you who are watching who may not recall what's happening right now, general bills from one chamber had to be voted on first by a certain date, by this date, to then move to the second chamber to be voted on. And so there was this rush flurry. Yesterday, the House heard, and on second reading, 70 bills. The Senate heard a similar number. They were actually on the floor in the Senate until midnight last night, is what I heard. So just like ruling pace, but now this is done. So now you have a few days off, and then committees and floor session will reconvene starting on Monday, the 8th. So now that we're at this moment in time, what are some things that you've seen theme-wise that, like types of bills, or what, like the sense that you're getting from our current legislative body?
I have seen some themes. They're not what I expected. The majority party was really campaigning on jobs, and we haven't seen a ton of jobs bills. In fact, I think my bill that just went down was a pretty big jobs bill that died, and it was one of just a handful that I recall. I'm seeing a lot of aggrieved people lobby their legislators to bring a bill to fix a problem in their local county. But what that does, if it passes, is it applies that rule to all other of the 55 counties, which it's not a one-size-fit-all thing. So we're having some problems solving that county's problem while still, maintaining every local government's kind of independence to innovate and problem solve the way they do. Theme I'm seeing a lot of. I'm a little bit disturbed at how some of the industries are getting some bills in that, again, help one industry, but override a whole bunch of local ordinances and stuff. There's a lot of that going on. It's just a really, I guess, disappointing. And a lot of them get changed and stopped or improved or something, and that's okay. But we could be doing so many things to fix problems, for everyone, instead of just, causing more problems with law. You often hear about how awful regulation is, and then here we are, blanket legislating that the Clean Indoor Air Act, say in Missoula, is unfair to one business, and now you remove it everywhere or something like that. So,
right. Yeah. So these well, like you just said, more red tape, more legislation, almost, that like to solve maybe a niche problem that doesn't apply to everybody, which seems counterintuitive to me for the majority party. But maybe that's the point. So what so I guess what comes next, just letting everyone know, we are actually going to do 4 Zoom conversations starting tomorrow evening. We're doing them by topic. We have hopefully 2 legislators per session that we're doing. So these are Zoom conversations where you all actually get to come into the Zoom room. It's not just a one-way or an interview style like this. This is where you actually get to meet your legislators. And a little personal story for me, 4 years ago during transmittal break, I heard about this event at the Bozeman Library, and it was with I think it was Representative Heyman and Hamilton and Tom Woods, And I was like, it was at lunchtime, and I was like, well, I guess I'll go and just see what's going on. And that's the first time I'd ever heard about the Gallatin County Democratic Central Committee. I had no idea that existed, had never met a sitting legislator in person or heard them speak in person before. And it probably changed the entire trajectory of my life, which is a big statement, but look where I'm sitting today. So, anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that your legislators, your Democratic legislators, are accessible to you, and they want to meet you and hear from you and answer your questions and have conversation with you. So that's why we're having these 4 Zoom conversations. I'll post the link, register for one, and you'll be able to come to any and all. They're all in the evenings. Kelly, you're going to be joining us on Friday evening, I believe, Friday at 5:30, and we're going to talk about access and equality. So thinking about, voting rights, the equality issues, and the attacks on LGBTQ and women's rights and this kind of stuff that Representative Ed Staffman has seen in judiciary. And so that's what we're going to be talking about Friday night. But every conversation is going to be a little bit different, and it will be hopefully a really good conversation. So please do come to those. They'll be really good. But when we're not talking about the session, what are you going to be doing over this break?
Resting.
Good.
It has been well, I'm learning as well as, kind of meeting over Zoom, in my case, for 6 to 10 hours a day. And this last week, it was closer to 10 or 12 hours a day. So I'm going to not stare into a rectangle. I'm going to, do some cooking, maybe go for a nice walk.
Excellent.
When you're on a computer from dusk till dawn, it's exhausting. So I'm going to be resting and calling friends and that sort of thing to recharge.
Excellent. Good. And after the session, after the transmittal break, what will we see that will be kind of different, do you think, in the session?
Hope we won't be barraged with tons of bills now. Most of the bills that were going to be written are written now, and now we just have to debate the other side's bills or the other chamber's bills. So hopefully we're not overwhelmed with as much information. Hopefully we have more time to debate the substance of a bill and it's how it helps Montanans or not. Mm-hmm. And we're not kind of forcing these things through before the deadline. But before you know it, we'll have to start worrying about the last deadline, the sine die, where the legislature's over. The only thing we have to do is balance our budget. All these bills are extra.
Right.
So that could start happening before we know it.
Right. Well, I hope that it's a little more consistently paced and not quite as intense as it has been the last 2 weeks. Well, really the last 2 months, because it started off crazy. If anyone has any questions that you would like Representative Kortum to answer tonight, feel free to post them. I am watching, so you can share that. Anything else that you wanted to talk about this evening in this update, Kelly?
Yes, I would like to talk about my team. My team is amazing. Everyone has a unique set of skills and interests and talents and knowledge, and here us locally as a caucus work really well together. But when we're plugged in to the rest of our minority caucus, we're amazing. We play well together. We understand what we're trying to do and protect, and everybody's kind of eye on the same ball has been, well, working there in their own ways has just been so incredible. And I'm so thankful that I work with so many smart, caring, loving people that I just really appreciate.
That's amazing. How often do you as a caucus get together?
Usually every morning.
Okay.
Committees generally start around 8, so we meet 7 to 8 to kind of talk about all the bills today and see who needs help where and that sort of thing.
Got it. So I assume, committee kind of like a committee report type of thing where you're meeting with like in the caucus, so the people on each committee share what's happening. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So there's a question. When are the budget bills due? So like when would be?
I'm an awful person to ask about budget stuff. That is definitely not my specialty. But it is on the calendar that we could probably come up with while we talk about something else.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent. There don't seem to be any other questions yet. You're very efficient. I like how efficient you are with time and answers. You keep it short and sweet, which I know that other people appreciate too. So while you look up budget bills, I'm just going to keep talking here for a second and fill the space. I think that, let's see. Oh, there's just a lot. There's a lot of love that's coming your way, Kelly. A lot of thank yous and gratitude for people watching. For those of you who don't know, Kelly sends out a weekly newsletter with an update on what's going on in his committees and with his bills. So I'll share that link too. So if you're not already subscribed to it, you can subscribe to that. You usually send those out on Sundays. And then we also have a weekly newsletter that we send out on Wednesdays. So if you're not receiving those, I'll also include that link. Have you found the answer yet?
It's very complicated, apparently. There are a whole bunch of deadlines for each type of bill, but looks like the end of April is roughly when we can start calling it a day. Okay. That's when the deadlines for most of the weird type of bills happen, like bills that need to be, if we pass something out of the House, it goes to the Senate, they amend it, they have to send it back, and we have to approve their changes and that sort of thing. So all of that's looking to be 12th, 19th, 26th of April. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer.
Of April or of March?
April.
April. Oh, okay. Okay. So like really at the end of session.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Now we have some other questions.
Awesome.
Can we best affect change with emails to committees or to individual legislators when it's moved into like onto the floor? Like if it's moved out of committee?
Once it's out of committee, a personal note from a constituent means a lot to me. Like, this issue matters to me. Here's my story. Here's how this bill will make it better or worse. That really helps me make a choice and know what the people of my district want. Mm-hmm. If it's on a particular interest, say unions, oh, these people really support unions or these people don't. Maybe I should. It's all strategic, but that's my number one thing. It's just I live at this address in your district and I really care about my union job, or I really care about healthcare. Mm-hmm. So definitely do that. And before that, send it to the whole committee that the bill is in. That is so efficient. Mm-hmm. And until last week, I kept up with all of those emails. I've fallen a couple thousand behind here in the last week for some reason, but I'll catch up this weekend.
Weird. Yeah, I think that one of the things to remember is that getting something killed in committee, like if it's bad, trying to get it killed in committee is the most effective way to get something stopped, because you have less legislators you need to influence, right? And then telling your personal story about why you are either supporting or not supporting a bill, like how it impacts you directly. And we're actually going to be hosting an event, a Saturday training. We just spoke with our chair, or I just spoke with our chair, Elizabeth Marum, about doing a training about telling the story of self is what it's called. So telling your personal story, how you advocate and lobby for something in 2 minutes. Telling your story in 2 minutes. I've done this training before. It's really effective. So we're going to be doing that hopefully not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. So stay tuned for that. So another question, any more public media or anti-union bills coming down the pipe? Or that have, passed and we need to stop them in the other chamber?
I don't think either of those issues have any pressing bills to be concerned about now. I think all the anti-union stuff has finally failed as of today,
Mhm.
and I think that one particular bill that was attacking budget the budgets of public radio died in committee. So I think that's all it for new bills,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
So
So that is true. And that, just remember though, that's for this session. These things will keep coming back, and we need to remember that. And so building capacity, making sure we remember these really bad votes and these really terrible bills, because next session in 2023, like, we're going to try and get as many new Democrats elected and, flip as many seats as we can, but it's going to be an uphill battle, and we need everyone involved and engaged. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. If you're thinking about running for office, reach out. If you live in Gallatin County, Kelly would love to have more Democratic colleagues. We need more. And there are flippable seats. The Gallatin Republican legislators this session are making terrible bills. In fact, HB 251, the Right to Work bill, was sponsored by Caleb Hinkle, who represents House District 68, which is my district. I'm not pleased. And, this is his first time in the session, and I hope it's his last. So let's make sure that we are, finding people who are interested in running. That's what we want to be working on. We want to help you run for office, support you throughout the campaign, starting now. Start building relationships, reach out, we're here. So there aren't any other questions. I'm going to stop preaching. But that's what we do. So just know that these bills will keep coming back, unless we keep growing our Democratic majority in Montana and fighting against and changing the conversation. So, and it's not just in Gallatin. You're right. You're right. It's not just in Gallatin that we have seats that we can flip and things that we can accomplish. So keep up the good fight. Representative Kortum, thank you so much for all of the work that you've done so far this session, and for keeping us updated in doing these, and also your weekly newsletters and responding to constituents. That's not easy, and that's amazing. So thank you so much.
thank you. It is my duty and my honor, and I am very proud of the work we've done so far, and I thank you all for helping support us here.
Absolutely. We have your back. Now go rest up and have some good beer, okay?
I will have a beer. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow night for a Zoom update. We'll see you soon.